Welcome all trichologists across the UK, Europe, America and beyond. Welcome fellow Institute members and members of TrichoCare, Trichological Society, the World Trichological Society, TPDP and any other organisations I've overlooked. We have gathered the IOT board members to answer some questions posed by and concerning many trichologists about the future of trichology and some of the decisions and directions the IOT is undertaking. We thought, what better way to explain and reassure about the future of this wonderful healthcare service we're all involved in than by a simple and honest question and answer session. Now, one thing I can guarantee is that each and every submitted question is going to be answered. No holds barred. You may recognise your question as it may be asked word for word as you submitted it, but as many questions were similar, your question may be in the words of another. I hope that makes sense. So with no further introductions, we go straight to our first question. And for this one, I will invite the chairman to respond, Eva. The question is, the quote by the chair taken from this email, this is the one we sent out inviting questions, states, our application to the Professional Standards Authority is progressing incredibly well, and we're feeling really excited about the benefits that await both clinicians and our clients once trichology is recognised as an allied healthcare profession. My question is this: are the board aware that the PSA approval and recognition as an allied healthcare provider are two utterly different things? The PSA do not grant allied healthcare status. As I understand, the PSA was made aware of this misleading claim and already asked the IOT not to say this, as it is misleading to the members and inadvertently the public. Can the board either confirm this is incorrect and apologise to the members for misleading them, or explain what this means? Over to you, Eva.
Thank you, Neil, and I'm really happy to answer that question. The first part, are we aware that the PSA and allied healthcare status are two separate things? Of course we're aware. I'm very, very aware of that. The PSA accreditation is the first stage in working towards achieving our mission and vision and objectives of eventually becoming recognised as an allied healthcare professional. Once we have achieved accreditation, and we still have work to do on that, the assessment schedule is out there, we need to be assessed. Once we've done that, then we would become part of the Professional Standards Authority for Health and Social Care. That gives us a springboard to then use that status, which is recognised, to lead practicing trichologists into the steps required, the lobbying, the looking at regulation, the integration with other healthcare providers. And it will assist us because the PSA is recognised for ensuring that standards are high and they are adhered to, and that the public are kept safe by anybody who is on one of their member registers. So no, we do understand that the PSA doesn't give us that status, and it certainly was never anyone's intention to mislead anybody, but it is intrinsic to our mission and vision, and it is very much the first stage. We can't hope to achieve all of the vision and mission and dreams that every trichologist has got for further recognition of this wonderful profession if we don't get the foundations right. and the foundations have been agreed upon as the first steps of getting PSA accreditation. So I hope that's answered that question fully, and that everybody is clear. We have shared all of the information from the PSA with every member, and what the benefits of being part of the PSA and having their accreditation would mean. So I hope there's nobody else out there that felt confused or misled. That certainly wasn't our intention, but it is very much our intention to lead the fight for getting recognition for trichologists as allied healthcare professionals.
Thank you very much, Eva. That's very reassuring, a very full answer. Our next answer is for Liam. Liam, if successful, the PSA accreditation runs at £11,000 per year. Can the board confirm memberships will not go up in lieu of this? Thank you. Over to you, Liam.
Okay, so that's a really good question. So obviously membership fees are just one source of income for the Institute, and it's my role on the board to look at our financial and commercial positions. So I can confirm that the membership fees won't be used to fund any ongoing PSA accreditation costs, and if we're, you know, please God, when we are lucky enough to get it, it won't be used for our accreditation costs.
Okay, our next question back with Eva. Apart from being a safety check against members and their practice for the public, how will the PSA accreditation help the trichologist in their practice? Over to you, Eva.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you for the question and the opportunity to answer it. The PSA is so much more than a checklist exercise. The PSA is there to validate our processes, procedures, and hold us to account as a membership organisation that not only do we say what we do, but we also ensure that we do what we say. And that means in all aspects of trichological practice. It means that we all adhere to the very high standards that the Institute of Trichology has, and that we recognise and share those and strive for continuous improvement. In terms of how it will help for clinical practice, that's something that's very dear to my heart. I always want to know, if I'm going to undertake something, how is it going to help me in clinic? And the PSA is going to give us a platform where we can share and work with and collaborate with other allied healthcare professional organisations that are also PSA accredited. We can learn from things they have had to do from scratch, and we can use those for the benefits of our members. One small thing that we learnt over lockdown was that a couple of members asked about being able to practice because they were part of a healthcare organisation. And we used advice and we used processes through the PSA to actually look at how we could achieve that. And that's just one way. There are so many ways. And it's vital that the public have somewhere that they can have confidence in, that not only is each and every member fully qualified, they're also current with their information and they are safe. They've got the absolute priority of the safety of their patient first. And for me, as the current chair, the PSA is an important enabler into leading our discussions with other healthcare providers and having the work that we do formally recognised and accepted. And I've met in the past few months with many GPs and dermatologists who, if we are successful with our accreditation, do see the value of it and would consider working more closely and referring to us, because we can prove what we do and we can prove we do what we say. And I think that is very, very important. So hopefully that's answered that particular question, and thank you for posing it.
Thank you very much, Eva. And I have a question for Liam. I'd really like to know if we will have a recommended ethical pricing structure for consultation and examination, treatment, and also tricho legal reports. It's hard to know where to pitch them in line with other trichologists, let alone other professional bodies. Over to you, Liam.
Okay, so obviously it's very, very difficult to kind of recommend a price or a pricing structure for the service that you deliver, because there's varying costs associated with it. I do know that we sent out a budgeting plan or a break-even. I remember in the first lockdown we sent out a break-even plan where you could put in all your costs and you know, work out how many patients you needed to actually break even. So essentially what you need to do is look at your own overheads, you know, how much you want to earn, and then just basically, you know, work out yourself what's viable for you. It is something that, you know, is very, very important, and it's different for different trichologists based on different costs and so on and so forth. In terms of the legal reports or the tricho-legal reports, I'm glad to say that we'll actually have a CPD in June with Bond Salon, and that's something certainly that you know will be, I think, helpful in terms of looking for fees in terms of your legal work. What I do personally in terms of legal work is that I work out how many hours it takes me to do a report and so on and so forth, and then I actually multiply it by the number of hours that I've actually done it. So yeah, that's hopefully you'll have a clearer picture in June when we do the CPD day.
Thank you. Another question, we'll have Eva back for this one. The board have done an excellent job of not only rebranding the Institute's outdated image, but also bringing many of its core features into a medium which the next generation of students and members can relate to. And the board must be congratulated in its achievements. My question is this: based on this excellent progress, how does the board see the Institute's next stage of development, i.e. its bigger picture? Over to you, Eva. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil, and thank you to the person that submitted that question for your very kind congratulations. I know I speak on behalf of all of the board members to say that it really means a lot to hear that from our members. We all do this in a voluntary capacity, so for anybody to say thank you at all is hugely, hugely rewarding. So that's my first statement. I've got some notes for this because there's a lot of things that we've got that we want to achieve. So in no particular order, we want to increase our membership base to give us a bigger overall membership. I think that working together and having one membership organisation that represents all qualified trichologists is far more powerful than having fragmented committees and membership groups. You know, working together, we will have more of a voice. And Stephen Goldsworthy, who's a board member, is looking at developing processes to assess members' applications from organisations other than the International Association of Trichologists, which we already have a process for. And what we'll be looking at is any applicant that would like to become a member will have a criteria of what their minimum educational standard must be in terms of subjects and clinical practice and hours. We will have an access route that if somebody has 90% of the things but there's 10% missing, we can give you an access route to gain that membership. Please be aware, we don't want to put barriers in people's way. We want to embrace, but we have to embrace and prove that everybody can meet the high professional and ethical standards of the Institute and Trichologists. We've also further developed our education. Those of you that have been members for a long time will know that we only have ever had one intake. We're now moving to multiple intakes per year. We've got 3 open day events, all planned and fully booked. And I know that we're starting to run multiple courses for the first time ever. And that's thanks to the investment and the expansion of our educational team. We've also just announced, myself and Dr. David Kingsley, an alliance between the World Trichology Society and the Institute of Trichologists. The World Trichology Society has the largest numbers of members, probably with the Institute being second. And we feel by collaborating and embracing and joining those memberships, still having our own identities, we can bring better and bigger things to each and every member, because it will be a joint force, and a joint force for the good and the development of trichology, led by passionate people. We are working currently to develop more member benefits. I don't want to say too much on this, it's work in progress, but it will be coming out. There will be news breaking of exclusive benefits for members of the Institute of Trichologists. We're looking, once we have got a little bit of headroom from both accreditation processes that are going on, both our PSA and our education, to have a lobby group, and we will be inviting members to become part of that, to look at areas of legislation, regulation, and to focus us on getting that recognition and moving along that journey to achieving allied healthcare professional status. Of course, we'll continue to demand that CPD is compulsory to maintain your membership, and as far as possible, we will be providing free CPD days to members, as we have done in the last year and so far this year, with a full programme now running right up to September, October. So that's one of the things that I'm really delighted about. We've been looking to increase the profile and the brand of the Institute of Trichologists, and we've done this on multiple platforms. We are working with a professional PR company that specialises in healthcare. We've done the first survey of members in terms of COVID, and that's been picked up by several publications and got us column inches and recognition from other healthcare professionals. We've also entered the platforms of social media, Twitter, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, and we're very shortly launching a YouTube channel. And not just from my ugly mug or from the rest of the gorgeous board, but also from our members. We're really trying to encourage our members to make this your institute. And we've also done that through forming the first press panel. And again, I would say on this video, we welcome anybody who would like to contribute to the press panel or any other activity, or apply to join the board. We are open and welcoming, and we want you to work with us. We've got some exciting news on education. There are some new modules that have been developed that will be going into the new education, and we will be making these available to members, and I know that the education team have got more to say about this. Trinity Road, which is our clinic and our educational base, we had plans to try and make that a full working clinic within the last 12 months or so. However, I'm sure all members can understand that due to the impact of COVID, this hasn't been able to happen in the timescales we'd envisaged. but it isn't off the agenda. We are still looking to make that clinic a flagship clinic, working 5 days a week, and having some specialist expertise in there as well. We're also looking to sharing the training facilities with other training providers so that every trichologist can have access to clinical training facilities. And we're very much working to provide opportunities for new and existing members in all sorts of areas, whether it be in the press, writing articles, looking at research and development, product assessment, loads and loads of areas we're sharing with our members. And we want you to take part, and we will support you in that to promote you and your institute. So lots of things going on. If anybody's got any ideas or anything they think is missing or would be of a great benefit, then please do tell us. If you can tell us, we will try and incorporate it, if it's achievable, into our objectives. If it isn't achievable, I will also make sure that we would explain why it isn't achievable. So hopefully that's given you a flavour of what's in our sort of rolling 2-year plan to 5-year plan. And there's a lot to do, and I'm very grateful for everybody on subcommittees who is supporting the board in their endeavours. As I say, it is all voluntary, and I think is an outstanding kind of gesture from every member that's giving their time so freely. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much, Eva. Thank you for that full answer. Very exciting news there. Our next question I'm going to pitch to Stephen. So, Stephen, how do you foresee a future where different trichological organisations can work together? Can different organisations be somehow presented as one body, i.e. registered trichologists, to the public? Over to you, Stephen.
Right, the objective of the Institute of Trichologists is to be the membership body for the UK and internationally promoting all suitably qualified trichologists that all adhere to professional standards and ethical conduct that is transparent to the public and also to the PSA, and then wider medical and professional communities, setting a member as safe, credible and qualified and accountable above other smaller unregulated member groups. The IOT are passionate in wanting to position and promote trichology as it should be done, and are keen to welcome applicants as soon as our application and assessment process is completed. So this is the bit that we're working on at the moment, so we can make sure that when other people are wanting to come across and join in with the Institute of Trichologists, that we're all working from the same level playing field, that when we look at their qualifications and they match our qualifications, and if there's any help needed by people, then obviously we're going to be there to support and then gain their access across to the full body of what we do in the Institute of Trichologists. So we're working towards this at the moment. It is work in progress, but we're sort of slowly getting there, but it's a very, very exciting prospect that we can then hopefully encourage smaller organisations to come on board and be members of the Institute of Trichologists.
Thank you very much, Stephen, and thank you for all your hard work in that area. Our next question is for Liam. Very short and to the point question. How much does an IOT board member get paid? Over to you, Liam.
Okay, thank you for that question. Essentially, the board members just get paid for their expenses. So in pre-pandemic times, when we met up in London, the board members would get paid for their traveling expenses. And that was essentially it. Now that we meet up over video conferencing, none of the board members put in a fee for that. So it's just basically board members get paid to cover their expenses.
Right, thank you for that, Liam. Our next question is for Shirley. Hi, Shirley. Your question is, do board members get special benefits that other members don't get? Over to you, Shirley. Thank you.
I only wish we did get special benefits, but board members do not get special benefits, and we're subject to the same processes, the same procedures and fees as everyone else. So yes, we pay our membership, we pay for our CPD training, exactly the same as all members. So no special benefits.
Well, there you have it, no special benefits. Next question for you, Eva, again, is will Trichology become a part of the NHS? Thank you.
I'm sure that we all agree that an ultimate objective would be to be recognised by the NHS. But before we can get there, there's an awful lot of things to address and achieve. And for it to become any kind of reality, we need a starting point and we need a firm bedrock to build from. And at this point in time, our starting point is the PSA accreditation, and we will then use that as a platform to move forward step by step to hopefully achieve that as an ultimate goal. But it is long term, and I don't see it becoming a reality for a number of years. It's not an easy thing to achieve. And given the current environment and the havoc the pandemic's wreaked on the NHS over the past 2 years, I certainly don't see it high on the NHS agenda. I do see other aspects achievable prior to NHS recognition, and I can assure you, as a board, we will be working towards that.
Thank you for answering that, Eva. Our next question is for Sam. Sam, can you answer me this? Can hairdressers do trichology in their salons? Is it something that we're aiming to achieve? Thank you.
Thank you for this question. Hairdressers can use their salons to practice trichology, but it needs to be as a separate service away from the general salon and hairdressing work. The consultation needs to be carried out in private, as the information provided by the patient and given by the consultant is not something that should be discussed in public. A salon environment would not be conducive to this. Trichology is a separate discipline to hairdressing and should be delivered as such. So in answer to your question, if you are going to incorporate trichology into your salon, it needs to be as a separate service, i.e. in a separate room. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you very much, Sam. We have a question here now directed at Tracy. Tracy, can you answer us this? There seems to be some competition at the moment between rival trichology schools / organisations. Is the IOT responsible for this, and will the IOT benefit from this? Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you, Neil. That's a very relevant question. The Institute have been educators since 1902, and during that time there have been many organisations that have set up their other training schools. There does seem to be some confusion at the moment, because I know many of you have been contacted by a couple of our members about a new organisation, and I have to say this is nothing to do with the Institute, and we're not responsible for it, and we don't benefit from this. In February 2017, we set out a very detailed schedule of where we wanted to be in 5 years' time, and that included the education and getting course accreditation. And I'm happy to say that we are achieving all we set out to do. I think it's really important that we are aware of competition out there. We need to know what other organisations are doing, but primarily we have to really focus on what we are doing and what we do well. And as I said, we've been educators since 1902. The education team and the subcommittee team are working really closely at the moment with NCFE. The NCFE are an organisation that accredit courses. They accredit bespoke courses, which our course is. And I'm happy to say this is progressing really well. Regarding our course material, I know Eva mentioned about some new modules. We review our course material annually. We look at whether we need to remove anything from our course, whether we need to add anything to it. And at the moment, we have a new module that we are introducing for September. This new module will be available to members. Some of you will remember that about 3 years ago, we introduced a couple of new modules. We put on training events for these modules, and at the end of that, you then have the module emailed to you. So it will be a similar format. We will put on a presentation of the new modules, and you will be able to get hold of the modules. We've also got another new module being introduced next year, and again, the same will apply. So to reiterate, we know there are other organisations out there. We don't class them as rival organisations. We are focusing completely on what we are doing, and the IOT definitely doesn't benefit from the other organisations, but that we're not concerned about that. We are focusing more on what we are doing at the moment. Over this last year, we've been able to adapt very quickly to the pandemic. Many of you know that our course involves coming to London, coming to Trinity Road and completing clinical training. And we've managed to do all of that online using some really good technology. We've held exams online, and so many of the things that we've put in place over this last year have worked so well that we're able to use that technology moving forward. We also have an online training platform for our students now. So education, it never sits still. We're always moving forwards. We're always introducing new ways of working with the student. And I feel at the moment that our course is probably the most robust it's ever been. And the student experience is certainly working very well. So all our focus and energy is going on into what we do best, educating.
Thank you very much, Tracy, and thank you for all the work that you do for us in the education side of things, as well as being a board member. That's terrific. Thank you so much. Our next question is for Lorraine. Lorraine, can you answer me this? What do you need to become a board member? Over to you, Lorraine.
Hi, Neil. Thank you. And thank you for that question, who sent it in. What do you need to become a board member? Lots of wine. What I would like to say is, having since becoming a board member myself, I couldn't have wished to have worked with a better set of people whose range of skills are diverse, and their passion and everything. So I would say experience in your field, particularly diverse fields that we have now, science, education, planning, media, anything like that. We need groups of volunteers with these experiences, but their passion must be for the Institute and for their profession of trichology. It's very rewarding. It's hard work, as these past 2 years have shown. Thankful for the COVID in one respect. We've had so much hard work to do, and we've got it all done. So that's a plus on the COVID side. We're always looking for new members to support the board, and obviously as we all get older, we retire, and what have you. So, you know, the more the merrier to, you know, replace the passion for trichology and make it what it should be.
Thank you very much for that answer, Lorraine. That's terrific. Thank you. It's a pleasure working with you. Right, we've got a few more questions for Eva now. Eva, will trichologists be able to prescribe once we join the PSA? Thank you, Eva.
Thank you, Neil, and a very relevant question. The short answer is no. PSA accreditation doesn't give anybody prescriber rights. In order to achieve rights to be a prescriber of prescription medications, there's a whole qualification to go through. And of course, we mustn't forget the responsibility that comes with prescribing medications. If you prescribe for somebody, you are responsible for their interaction, their care, it's ongoing. So we would ultimately like some prescriber rights. If I'm honest, I think they would be quite limited because we're not medical, and so we can't hope to be prescribing things like methotrexate, for example. But looking at a simpler medication, maybe a topical steroid would help us to make the patient journey easier and clearer. So the initial answer is no, the PSA doesn't give us prescriber rights. In the future, it would be good to maybe have some limited rights, but we also recognise from speaking to our members that not everybody wants to be able to do that. And if we work collaboratively with our medical colleagues, we should be able to get the prescriptions and the prescribed medications that our patients sometimes need sort of generated through a much smoother collaborative route, and that might be the starting point. And really for me it depends on how many members want to be able to do a prescribing qualification. So that's my answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Eva. Thank you. Yeah, prescribing, interesting question. Another interesting quick question, is the IOT going to make its own brand of products? Over to you.
We are looking to develop a range of clinical products and treatments, and that's no secret. We spoke about it almost 2 years ago now when we met at the Royal Society of Medicine, long before COVID inhibited any face-to-face contact. And the reason we want to do this is to ensure that the products are safe, tested and fit for purpose, and that we standardise what members are offering. But more importantly, we want to keep them as clinical products for our members only. So we won't be making them generally available or be selling them on Amazon. It's those sorts of things that undermine our clinical professionalism. So yes, we are looking at it, but we're doing it with two sort of objectives in mind. One, to standardise and give patients confidence and properly produce products, and the other one to give members a way of having a unique service that the patients can't just get from anywhere. They have to come through a member of the Institute to access those particular clinical treatments.
Thank you, Eva. Another interesting question for you here. What is the board doing to generally increase awareness of trichology? And I think maybe the second part of the question is perhaps what it's all about here. It says, and to help trichologists see more patients and to help trichologists make a living. Over to you, Eva.
Thanks, Neil, and a very relevant question and one that's close to my heart as a member. We've done a lot to raise the profile of the Institute of Trichologists and to update its brand presence. And all of that has been done with the objective of driving more patients to our member clinics that are all accessible via our website. And we now have in the members area reports online of the monthly traffic and figures, and you'll see that they are steadily increasing month on month, which is fantastic. We're also getting lots of engagement from potential patients, and we are using that portal of Find Your Nearest Trichologist to its fullest extent. We are working with a medically aligned PR agency, and we have seen the Institute of Trichologists featured in a lot of publications, online, social media, and also TV and radio as well. So again, the Institute is being sought out to quote when big questions need to be answered about the health of the hair and scalp. We've got a lot more planned. As I say, previously we've talked about the press panel. We've also got the opportunity to be involved in some research. We've got the opportunity to be involved in some development of consultation and online consultation tools. We've got lots of opportunities. And as a board, we're fully committed to sharing that with our members. We want to promote each and every one of you. And I'm hoping that if you look in your members area and you see the PR reports, you see us in the news, you see what we're doing on social media, that you can see that every single thing we do is aimed at promoting our membership and the service of trichology. We've also totally revamped the website. We've made things a lot more digitally efficient, and we also have Lucy now, who is totally in control of our communications with members and the public, and is really making a huge difference. So many members have said how much easier it is to register for things, to find things, to get their CPD points updated. And you will see as the year progresses, lots more things are coming out. So there's a whole raft of things in our promotional objectives. And of course, if we're successful with our accreditations for both education and the PSA, we will be leveraging that PR machine even more. And also we've got plans to leverage that PR machine in terms of Trinity Road as an operational clinic. And we want our members to come and work in that clinic. So particularly if you're a new member and you're just starting out, it's a way of getting clinical experience, working with other trichologists, because sometimes working in your own clinic can be a little isolated. We want to give all those opportunities. We also want to give refresh and mentoring an overhaul, so that if people have got particular areas that they want to refresh on, or they want to work with particular conditions, we can offer that again through Trinity Road and the clinical service that we're trying to deliver. So lots of exciting things, and I hope you do all feel included, because that is certainly the aim of the board, to do that.
Thank you, Eva. And I have a question, sort of, that you were perhaps just touching on there, but interesting one. Is the board, the IOT, trying to standardise trichology practitioners and trichology, get my words out, trichology clinics? Thank you.
That's a really great question, and the simple answer is the Institute of Trichologists has always had a set of professional conduct and ethical standards. It's always had processes and procedures to keep that high level of service and clinical provision. Where I would say in the past we have perhaps not been so good is in our transparency, visibility and accessibility. So it doesn't really matter how you try and cut the cake up for standards and processes. There are only so many standards you can set. There are only so many processes you can have. And we believe, with our over 100 years experience and feedback from our members, that we have the best in the industry. And certainly if you look around at other organisations, they use very similar terminology to that of the Institute of Trichologists. And really what we're trying to do is embrace every practicing clinical trichologist, so that we've all got the same standards that we're delivering to. I'm sure we've all had the same experiences in clinic when a patient will say, oh, I visited somebody else and they didn't do this, this or this, or they didn't do that, or they didn't do this. And that's down to having a clear guidance in terms of what a clinical consultation should be. And we're very passionate about maintaining clinical standards, and we want to make that available and accessible to people that may not have had that much exposure, and also to help them develop their skill set, and to continuously learn and develop as well. So we're not trying to take over the world. We're not trying to impose anything that is unrealistic or unachievable. We're simply trying to use our excellent standards to the benefits of every one of our members, to potential new members, and most importantly, for the general public to be able to have a place to go, a single place to go, to look for a trichologist that can deliver a safe, efficient, effective clinical practice. So that's what our objective and aim is. And I would ask that you bear with us as we are, publishing things. There's lots in the members area. You'll see the processes and procedures. There are more things to come, things like appraisals. We've had to slow that down due to COVID, because the medics that we want to work with have been under great pressure to deliver frontline COVID care. So that's why some things may look to be moving a little bit more slowly than others.
Eva, will the IOT be spying on us to see what we're all doing?
Ooh, that sounds like a 007, my favourite set of films. Maybe we could have a female 007, or perhaps I should just settle for Moneypenny. No is the answer. We don't spy on anybody. What we try to do is facilitate and assist and educate and develop. They're the things we're trying to do, and we want to share as well. Some of our members deliver absolutely fabulous services, have things in clinics that other people hadn't thought of, use systems, have processes that work for them clinically, and it's about sharing all of that best practice. It's not about spying. And on top of that as well, it's all about sharing learning points, particularly from our complaints process. If somebody complains about a particular thing, there's a learning point, we are very keen to share that with all of our members, so nobody else has to go through that and no patient has to experience it. So it's about the very positive, and it's all about the not so positive, but feedback to help us all to improve as a profession. So no, I'm not turning into 007, neither are any of my board members or the Institute. We just want to make a difference and set the highest standards and support our members in the very best way that we can.
Okay, thank you, Eva. Next question. This one we're going to ask Shirley. This one is in your area, I believe. Shirley, will some trichologists be struck off if they're not good enough for the PSA?
A fair question. We've got a really strong, robust complaints procedure. And in the first instance, our aim is always to resolve any kind of, disputes, any complaints as amicably as possible. That's going to be a last choice to try and, take a member off the register. And in doing so, there would be an appeals process that someone could go through. It's not just down to me. There is the ethics team, and there's an actual process before we even get to that stage. So again, the short answer is we don't want to be doing that. We always want to support and resolve issues before it gets to that stage. But there may be instances, it's not impossible, that someone may need to be removed. So we're not, I can't say categorically no, but there are steps in place. As chair of ethics, and we work with a team, there's not just me, there's other people as well. And we aim, we look at all the complaints, and most of them, I have to say, thankfully we don't get that many, but the ones that we do get, before they go, we have a set of stages that we go through, but most of them are resolved amicably and very, very quickly. It's not nice for anyone to have a complaint hanging over them. We are using best practice. And so if there's been a complaint and something comes out of that, then what we will do is provide that information and take the learning from it. So put systems in place or make changes to reflect those things that we've learned from that complaint. So it is a learning process as well. And so, yeah, we don't want to be striking people off just for the sake of it. We want to work with everyone, with members. But we do have our code of ethics that we need to stick to also. Thank you, Neil.
Thank you so much, Shirley, and thank you for all the work that you do in that field, looking after us all and protecting the public. Thank you. This next one is for Liam, and it comes with a warning. Liam, I must tell you that this question will greatly influence your popularity throughout the whole field of trichology. Liam, can we all go on an IOT paid outing to Disneyland? Over to you, Liam.
Oh, I wish. Well, the way our vaccination in Ireland is going, unfortunately, I won't be able to join you because you'll be able to go before I can. Yeah, if somebody's prepared to organise it and we can find somebody who's prepared to fund it, happy days. I certainly make sure that it won't happen until I can go, and we'll have one hell of a blast.
Right, Liam. Well, thank you very much for that. We'll have a private chat about that later, see if we can get you to change your mind. Our final question for this evening. I think we started with a really good question. We've had some great questions in between, and we're ending on another great question. This one, I can only really give this to the chair. Eva, is there anarchy in the UK as far as trichology is concerned? Over to you, Eva.
Wow, what a question to end on. Well, I guess the first thing is to understand what the definition of anarchy is. And anarchy is defined as an absence of non-recognition of authority and controlling systems. And I would have to say that there are a number of educational bodies and member organisations in the UK, and I don't see any of them in anarchy. I see that we could be stronger together as a single membership organisation, but I also understand that diversity is good as well. So I don't see anarchy, I see opportunities, and that's a very different thing altogether. In terms of the Institute of Trichologists, we are not trying to address an anarchy situation. We are trying to offer a single body that gives the highest standards, continuing professional development, updates on education and treatments as they are developed, and a safe, respected place for any clinical trichologist to be recognised. And we want it to be fully inclusive and transparent. And on that note, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for sending their questions in. I'm sorry I've spoken a lot. It just seems that my ugly mug got popped up there. I'd like to thank each and every one of the board members and Lucy for working late to answer these. A special shout out to Stephen. It's his wedding anniversary today, and we're keeping him away from his lovely wife. I'm sure he'll make up for it later. So once again, thank you for all your questions. I hope you appreciate our full, frank and honest answers. And if you have any further questions, we're here. Our door is open. We're very accessible. And I'm very proud of the board and the team. And I just want to make sure that we can keep pushing forward for the benefit of each and every clinical trichologist. Thank you.